Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah wa ba'd. So we continue with our study of Jawami al-Akhbar, Sheikh Abdul Rahman ibn Nasir al-Sa'di alayhi rahmatullah. And we have reached al-Hadithu al-Hadi Ishrun, or the 21st Hadith, which comes عن عائشة رضي الله عنها قالت قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم عشر من al-Fitra. The Messenger of Allah said alayhi wasallam that 10 are from the Fitra. 10 are from the Fitra. Qas al-Sharib, he mentions the trimming of the mustache. Wa i'fa al-Lihya, and allowing the beard to grow full. Wa siwak, using the siwak upon the teeth. Wa istinshaq al-ma, and inhaling water into the nose. وقص الأظافر, and trimming the nails. وغسل البراجم, and washing in between the finger joints. ونتف الإبط, and plucking out of the armpit hair. وحلق العانة, and shaving of the private area. وانتقاص الماء, and likewise انتقاص الماء يعني الاستنجاء, to wash the private area with water. قال الراوي ونسيت العاشرة إلا أن تكون المضمضة رواه Muslim. And the narrator said, I have forgotten what the 10th one was, because these are 9 that he mentioned. He said, but perhaps it is al-madmada, which is to take water into the mouth and to splash water around the mouth. Hadith reported by Imam Muslim. So the narration mentions al-fitra. Al-fitra, al-Sa'di, he says, هي الخلقة التي خلق الله عباده عليها. It is the natural disposition, the natural creation that Allah Ta'ala fashioned His servants with. The manner in which Allah Ta'ala has created us. وَجَعَلَهُمْ مَفْطُورِينَ عَلَيْهَا, and He has made them to be maftureen, or to have certain characteristics within their beings. عَلَى مَحَبَّةِ الْخَيْرِ وَإِثَارِهِ, so they have been created in such a way that they love goodness and they love, or they give precedence to it. وَكَرَاهَةُ الشَّرِّ وَدَفْعِهِ, and likewise they dislike evil and they desire to repel it. وَفَطَرَهُمْ حُنَفَاء, so their fitras, they are at our origin, in our natural disposition, we are monotheists. Originally, we are monotheists. Naam. مستعدين لقبول الخير والإخلاص لله, so they are already predisposed to love, to accept goodness, and to be sincere and make our worship pure for the sake of Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala. وتقرب إليه, and to draw near to Him Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. وجعل تعالى شرائع الفطرة نوعين, and Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala therefore has made the legislations that are connected to the fitrah of 2 types. So the natural disposition that we are created upon, being monotheists and the likes of this, whatever we have innate inside of us, within our bodies and within our souls. So there are legislations connected to that. And those legislations, they are of 2 types. The first type, يُطَاهِرْ الْقَلْبِ وَرُوحِ. The first type of legislation that is connected to it, it is that which is in relation to the purification of the heart and purification of the soul. That is done by way of faith, iman in Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala, wa tawabi'u, and those things that follow on from it, meaning the doing of good deeds and so on and so forth. Prayer, fasting, all of those things follow on from the affair of iman. You have iman in Allah Azza wa Jal, and the natural result from that is that you worship Him, and you devote your acts of worship to Him Tabarak wa Ta'ala. This is from what is connected to the legislations in relation to that fitrah that we've been created upon. Now, and that is, for example, khawf, fear, wa raja, hope, wa mahabbatu, and likewise love, wal inaba, turning in repentance to Allah Tabarak wa Ta'ala whenever we fall short or commit sins. Now, for Allah Ta'ala said inside of His book, فَقِمْ وَجْهَكَ لِلدِّينِ حَنِيفًا, and so turn your faces towards your religion, hanifan, being pure monotheists, فطرة الله التي فطر الناس عليها, the fitrah of Allah upon which He has predisposed the people. He has made them predisposed upon this. لا تبديل لخلق الله. You will not find any change or alteration in Allah's creation. ذلك الدين القيم. That is the upright religion. ولكن أكثر الناس لا يعلمون. But the majority of mankind don't know. منيبين إليه واتقوه وأقيموا الصلاة ولا تكونوا من المشركين. And so he goes further to define how the people will be. They will be munibina ilay. They will be turning to Allah Ta'ala in repentance, having taqwa of Him, and establishing the prayer, and not being amongst the pagans. فهذه تزكي النفس. So this fitrah that we've been created with, or these legislations rather, connected to that aspect of the fitrah, then it is something which purifies the soul, and it purifies the heart, and it causes it to grow. It causes it to grow, meaning one's faith. It causes it to grow. وَتُوثِبْ عَنْهُ الْآفَاتِ الرَّذِيلَةِ. And it removes from the individual those lowly and repugnant and despicable affairs. And it decorates it by way of al-Akhlaq al-Jamila, yani beautiful characteristics and qualities and manners. وهي كلها ترجع إلى أصول الإيمان وأعمال القلوب. And all of that returns back to the usul and fundamentals of Iman and the actions of the heart. Actions of the heart, as we know that the actions are various types: action of the limbs, action of the heart, action of the tongue, and like this. Actions of the heart are like fear of Allah Azza wa Jal, placing one's trust and reliance upon Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, loving Allah Azza wa Jal, having hope. Naam, and all of these things are actions of the heart. وَالنَّوْعَ الثَّانِي, the second type of legislations that are connected to the fitrah upon which we have been created, مَا يَعُودُ إِلَى تَطْهِيرِ الظَّاهِرِ وَنَظَافَتِهِ, that which points to and indicates or leads to the purification of our outer affair, and hygiene as it relates to that, meaning that Allah Ta'ala created us a certain way, right? He created us a certain way, and there are some acts that correspond with that fitrah. So He created us, for example, with hair that grows upon our bodies. He has given us legislation to govern that hair. So for the men, for example, we let our beards grow full, and we trim our mustaches. Now, we likewise grow nails. We grow nails. So therefore, we've been commanded to what? The act that corresponds to that part of our fitrah is that we clip our nails. Now, and so on and so forth. And so this is what he's referring to. So our fitrah has certain affairs connected to it, outwardly and inwardly. As for the outer affairs, then the acts that correspond with that, it leads to purification of our outer condition, likewise hygiene, and cleanliness and the likes. وَدَفْعُ الْأَوْسَاخِ, and the removal of dirt, وَالْأَغْضَارِ, and impurities from our bodies. وَهِيَ هَذِهِ الْعَشْرَةِ, and they are these 10 things that I mentioned in this narration. Another hadith mentions 5, and the hadith that mentions 5 have things that aren't in the narration mentioning 10, and vice versa. So we'll look at both narrations briefly. The Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam, he mentioned the statement of the Prophet alayhi salam, which comes on the authority of Abu Hurairah, that he said, al-fitratu khams, that the fitrah is 5. Or he said, al khams min al-fitrah, or there are 5 things that are from the fitrah. Al-khitan, which is circumcision. Again, we've been created a certain way. Our bodies have certain things upon it. So we are born as males with foreskin on the phallus. There's an act, a legislation that corresponds with that aspect of our creation, and that is that we get circumcised. Now, and so he mentions thereafter, wal-istihdad, the utilization of a razor to remove hair of the private area. وَتَقْلِيمُ الْأَلْفَارِ, and the clipping of the nails. وَنَتْفُ الْإِبْطِ, the plucking out of armpit hair. وَقَصُّ الشَّارِبِ, and the clipping of or trimming of the mustache. Now, and then there's the other hadith that mentions the 10, and that is the hadith that we just heard. Now, he says that وهي هذه العشرة, and there are these 10 affairs. وهي من محاسن الدين الإسلامي, and these things are from the beautiful characteristics of our Islamic religion. إذ هي كلها تنظيف للأعضاء, because all of them lead to the purification and cleanliness of our body parts. وتكميل لها, and the perfection of them. لتتم صحتها, in order that by way of that their health can be brought about. The good health of these body parts can be brought about, and we're going to see some of the health benefits that lie in these matters. وتكون مستعدة لكل ما يراد منها, in order that when the body is healthy, when these body parts are healthy, then they are prepared to do that which Allah Ta'ala has created them to do, and that is to worship Him Tabarak wa Ta'ala in the most complete manner. He says, as for al-madmada wal-istinshaq, he takes these first two affairs, al-madmada and al-istinshaq. Al-madmada is to take water around the mouth and to splash it around the mouth. Wal-istinshaq is to take water into the nose, to take water, inhale water into the nose. Now, فإنهما مشروعان في طهارة الحدث الأصغر والأكبر بالاتفاق. And so these two affairs are legislated. They are legislated and connected to purification of major and minor impurities by way of total agreement of the scholars. وهما فرضان, and so these two affairs, al-madmada wal-istinshaq, are obligatory. They are obligatory when purifying oneself by way of the minor and major impurity, meaning wudu and ghusl. They are a part of those ritual acts. He says, he says, so therefore they lead to the purification of the mouth and the nose and the pathway of the nose. لأن الفم والأنف, because the mouth and the nose, you find that many impurities and filth and steam and the likes of this come to the mouth and the nose. And there are impurities that come up to the mouth by way of the stomach. Heat and the likes of this come up to the mouth by way of the stomach. And similarly, different types of environmental impurities, they come into our nasal cavity by way of the nose. So with this legislation of madmada and al-istinshaq, we are able to purify the mouth, we are able to purify the nasal passages by way of implementation of this legislation. And this, no doubt, it leads to health benefits, so that these body parts can work optimally, and we can fulfill the purpose for which we have been created. And so he says, وَهُوَ مُضْطَرٌ إِلَى ذَلِكَ وَإِزَالَتِهِ. And so therefore, these body parts are in need of the removal of these things. كَذَلِكَ السِّوَاك. Similarly is the affair of the siwak. The siwak, يُطَهِرْ الْفَمْ. It purifies the mouth. It purifies the mouth. فَهُوَ مَطْهَرَةٌ لِلْفَمْ مَرْضَاتٌ لِلرَّبِّ. So therefore, it is purifying for the mouth. It is something which is pleasing to the Lord. And of course, we understand the health benefit that lies in the utilization of the siwak, brushing the teeth with that, strengthening the teeth, purifying the mouth, and aiding in the smell of the breath and the likes of this. وَلِهَذَا يُشْرَعْ كُلْ وَقْتٍ. So due to this, the use of the siwak is legislated in all times. It is all times, and it is emphasized when making the wudu. It is an emphasized sunnah, stressed sunnah, to use the siwak whenever you make wudu. And it's a sunnah that is mahjura in many cases. You find many of the people, they leave off the sunnah of purchasing and keeping with yourself a siwak so that you can utilize it whenever you make the wudu, as is sunnah, a stress sunnah, as you have heard, to use it when you make wudu, and at various portions throughout the day, after you eat, and just various portions throughout the day, and certain times it is more so emphasized. Anytime the aroma of the mouth changes, the smell and the likes of this, and you begin to notice that, then you use the siwak. So therefore, it is purifying for the mouth and pleasing to the Lord. وَلِهَذَا يُشْرَعْ كُلْ وَقْتٍ يَتَأَكَّدْ عِنْدَ الْوُضُوءِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. It is more emphasized when making wudu and before the prayer. وَالْإِنْتِبَاهِ مِنَ النَّوْمِ. And when waking up from sleep. وتغير الفم, and when the mouth begins to change, the smell of the mouth begins to change. وصفرة الأسنان, and when the teeth become discolored, and the likes of that. أما قص الشارب, as for the trimming of the mustache, this likewise has health benefits. He mentions قص الشارب أو حفو, or قص الشارب is to cut the mustache or to trim it, in order that the top lip, yani the upper lip, can be visible. So this is the extent to which you trim the mustache, such that the lip can be visible. You don't want the hair to grow over the lip, right? The hair should not grow over the top lip. If the hair begins to grow over the top lip, you trim that which is beyond, or that which is above the top of the lip. Now, so he mentions, I'm going to mention something specific about that when we get to Shaykh Ubayd's Kalam as well. So he says that فَلِمَا فِي ذَلِكَ مِنْ النَّظَافَةِ, and this is due to that which this contains from good hygiene. وَتَحَرَّصْ مِمَّا يَخْرُجْ مِنَ الْأَنْفِ, and likewise protection from that which comes out of the nose. A person has certain affairs coming out of his nose, then the mustache, it will prevent that from entering into the mouth. فَإِنَّ شَعْرَ الشَّارِبِ إِذَا تَدْلَى عَلَى الشَّفَةِ, because when the hair of the mustache begins to grow and extend beyond the lip, then those things that a person eats and things that a person may drink will inevitably get caught into it. He says, مَعَ تَشْوِيحِ الْخِلْقَةِ, likewise, this is in addition to that which it contains. If a person were to let the mustache grow, and it contains a type of disfigurement, and it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. He says that even if the people believe that it looks good, even if the people think and believe that it looks good, he says that هذا بخلاف اللحية. This is in opposition to the lihya, the beard. فإن الله جعلها وقارا, for Allah Ta'ala has made the beard to be a means of dignity for the man. He made it to be a means of dignity and beautification for the man. ولهذا يبقى جماله في حال كبره بوجود شعر اللحية. Due to this, even when he becomes elderly, when he gets older, and his beard is intact, you see an older, distinguished gentleman. He has a nice beard. Then his handsomeness is still there, even when he's older. His handsomeness is still there. He has a nice beard. His beard looks nice. He is well groomed and likes to this. But we want to pay attention to one thing, right? We have been commanded to take care of our hair. The Prophet Muhammad said, he said, Akram al-Sha'r, he said, honor your hair. If you have hair, honor it. You honor it, you take care of it. And this is whether the hair is on your face, it's on your head, or whatever the case may be. If you have hair, you take care of it. You groom it, and you strive to look nice, inshallah ta'ala. With regards to the beard, though, don't go to excess when it comes to grooming the beard. We don't go to extremes when it comes down to grooming the beard. When we say extremes, the Prophet Muhammad alayhi, he would recommend the grooming and combing of the beard illa gibban, meaning that a person, he doesn't do it, every day. You're constantly in the mirror, making sure you're pretty before you go outside, right? But comb your beard, but not every day, right? Comb your beard, but not every day. And when we say going to excess, you find some of the people treating the beard and putting all types of chemicals inside of it until the beard becomes curly and wavy, right? This, in reality, is not from the sunnah. It is from femininity. That a man, even if he has a beard, if he does it excessively like this, you find some of the brothers perming their beard and, looking like they put activator in it, And the legislation of this, it comes from the narration Rafi ibn Khadij, where there was that the pagan Arabs in the pre-Islamic days of ignorance, whenever they would do battle, they would braid their beard. They would braid it up, right? Because it would make them look, ferocious. They would have, 3 braids in their beard, and they would do this only during times of battle and war. And so this was prohibited by the Prophet ﷺ, this type of braiding up of the beard. And so the ulama, they mention, what enters into that is that of treating the beard until it becomes, curly and the likes of this. You treat it as not that your hair is naturally curly. Some people's beard, the hair, or their hair on their head is naturally curly. It's not what we're speaking about. But you put things in it to make it curly, right? Then this is excessiveness in relation to the beard. Now, but he mentions that the beard, it contains waqar للرجل وجمال له. It contains dignity for the man and a means of beautification for him. ولهذا يبقى جماله في حال كبره. Due to this, his beauty, his handsomeness remains even when he becomes elderly, he becomes older, due to the presence of facial hair. Now, and he said, look at this in relation to the individuals who may disobey the Messenger alayhi by shaving the beard. They shave the beard. He says that كيف يبقى وجهه مشوها, and how his face, it remains disfigured and its beauty departs, even if he may have been at one point a handsome fellow. Yani, when he gets older, by not having facial hair, and he lives his life like that with no facial hair, and then gets older and he becomes an older man with no facial hair, shaving his beard, he doesn't look like the other man that we described. Right? As the Sheikh is going to explain. He says that, so his face remains disfigured, his beauty departs, خصوصاً وقت الكبر, even when he gets old, especially when he gets old. فيكون كالمرأة العجوزة, he begins looking like an old lady. He begins looking like an older lady. Once that older lady, she reaches that older age, and her beauty begins to depart. He says, وَلَوْ كَانَتْ فِي صَبَاحَ, even if she were in her youth or in her younger age, min ajmal nisa, for the most beautiful of women. When she gets older, that beauty, it begins to fade. That those good looks, it begins to fade. He says, and this is something which is witness and experience. We know this. لكن العوائد والتقليد الأعمى يوجب الاستحسان القبيح واستقباح الحسن. However, the affair of habits and customs and blind following, it necessitates or brings about deeming ugly things to be beautiful and deeming beautiful things to be ugly. Now, you find this in the speech of some of them, those who their fitrah has been distorted and turned upside down, and it's to the point that they believe the beard to be something which is not handsome. Now, why don't you take care of yourself? Why don't you shave and do this, that, and the third? The reality is that the beard, it contains waqar, it contains dignity, it contains beauty for the face of the man. Amma qasl al-far, as for trimming the nails, وَالنَّتْفِ al-ibط, and plucking out the armpit hair, وَغُسl al-barajim, and washing between the finger joints, then they are affairs connected to the body parts wherein filth or dirt or impurities gather. نعم فلها من التنظيف وإزالة المؤذيات ما لا يمكن جحده. He says, so therefore they contain hygiene and the removal of harmful affairs, that which it is impossible for us to object to. وكذلك حلق العانة. Similarly, is the shaving of al-ana, and the al-ana is the private areas both front and back. It refers to al-ana. Now, I'm going to read from the Kalam of al-Nawawi concerning this hadith and his explanation of it in his Sharh Sahih Muslim. He said, as for the statement of the Prophet ﷺ, the acts of fitrah are 5. The meaning of this is that they are from the fitrah, as was mentioned in the other narration, that 10 are from the acts of fitrah. Thus, they are not restricted to being 10. His statement that they are from the fitrah indicates that they are not restricted to this number, and Allah knows best. As for the fitrah, then the scholars differ what is intended by it. Abu Sulaiman al-Khattabi said the majority of the scholars hold that it refers to the sunnah. And similar was mentioned by others besides al-Khattabi, and they said its meaning is that it is from the sunnah of the prophets, may Allah's prayers and peace be upon them. It is also said that it is the religion, and we heard what As-Sa'di says concerning it, the natural disposition that we've been created upon, It has an inner aspect and an outer aspect. The inner aspect is what is related to the Tawheed of Allah Azza wa Jal, worshiping Him alone, Iman, and whatever follows on from that. And the outer aspects of the fitrah refers to those affairs within our bodies that Allah Ta'ala created us with. We grow facial hair. There's a legislation connected to it. We grow hair in our private area. There is a legislation connected to it. We grow nails. We have foreskin, and so on and so forth. There's legislation connected to all of that. Now, he says that, but his statement al-istihdad, this refers to shaving what is called al-ana, the private area. It is called al-istihdad because the use of hadid, the use of steel, meaning a razor. And this is a sunnah, and what is intended by is cleaning of that area. That which is best is to shave it. That which is best in relation to the private area is to shave. But it is permissible to shorten it, to pluck out the hairs, or use a depilatory agent, a cream, and the likes of this. Now, those affairs that remove the hair. What is intended by al-ana, it is the hair above and around the penis of the man, and the hair that grows around the vagina of the woman. It has been transmitted from Abu al-Abbas ibn Suraj that it likewise refers to the hair that grows around the anus. So from all of this we find that it is recommended to shave both the front and the back and the surrounding areas. Now, as for the time frame of shaving, then the chosen viewpoint is that it is determined by the need and when it begins to lengthen. Now, when the hair begins to grow and you notice it beginning to grow, then remove it. Then this is the point where you remove it. So it is according to the need and when the hair begins to lengthen or grow. Once it begins to grow, it should be shaved. Similarly, is the affair of trimming the mustache, removal of the armpit hair, and clipping the nails. As for the hadith of Anas, which he said a time was demarcated for us in trimming the mustache, clipping the nails, the removal of the armpit hair, and shaving the private area, that we are not to leave it for more than 40 nights. Its meaning is that we do not let it go for more than 40 nights without having done these things, and not that one can leave it to grow for the 40 nights. Don't leave it to that extent. Rather, once you notice that your fingernails are growing, then you trim them. Once you notice the hair growing in these areas, you remove it. And like this. He mentions in the hadith, though, as it relates to the armpits, natf al-ibt, or plucking it out, plucking the hair out. Now, he mentions plucking here, but any method can be utilized that will remove the hair, whether it is shaving or what have you. But plucking is mentioned because it is more complete. It removes the hair at the root, and when you remove the hair at the root, then it takes longer to grow back. It takes longer to grow back. So this is why he mentioned plucking. But this may be quite difficult upon some people, right? I know it would be difficult for me if I was to try to snatch the hair out like that. You know, I'll probably scream. However, any method that you can utilize that would work, whether it is shaving with a razor or the use of creams, as we mentioned, that will remove the hair, all of those are permissible. Now, Asadi continues, as for a statement al-istinja, huwa izalat al-kharij min as-sabilain, it is to remove that which comes out of the two passageways by way of water or a stone. For huwa lazim wa shartu min shurut at-tahara, it is lazim, it is obligatory, and it is the condition from the conditions of tahara, purity. We want to draw a distinction, though, between al-istinja and al-istijmar. Al-istinja is the use of water to clean the private area. Just water and the left hand. Al-istijmar is the use of another object, such as a rock or whatever would stand in its place, from toilet papers and the likes of this, right? Tissues and so on and so forth. Any time you use an object other than water, it is called al-istijmar. Al-istijmar. Water alone, right? Water and the hand, this is, or left hand specifically, this is istinja. Okay. Sheikh Salih Fawzan mentioned it's best to combine them. It's best to combine them, to do both istinja and al-istijmar. Okay. Now, فعلمت أن هذه الأشياء كلها تكمل ظاهر الإنسان وتطهره وتنظفه. And so you have come to know that these things, all of them, they complete the outer affair of the person, and they purify his outer condition, and they and they clean it. وتدفع عنه الأشياء الضارة, and they remove or repel from it harmful affairs and affairs that are repugnant, like odors and smells and the likes of this. Naam, and nadafa min al-iman, and hygiene is from faith. Having good hygiene is a part of faith. The Prophet mentioned at-tuhur shatrul iman, the purity is half of it, it's half of faith. And there is purity in the body, naam, and purity likewise in the soul. والمقصود أن الفطرة هي شاملة لجميع الشريعة باطنها وظاهرها. And so what is intended is that the fitrah, it is inclusive of all of the legislation, its outer affairs and its inner affairs. لأنها تنقي الباطن من الأخلاق الرذيلة, because it purifies and cleanses one's inner condition from lowly and despicable characteristics and manners, and it beautifies it by way of praiseworthy and beautiful characteristics التي ترجع إلى قواعد الإيمان والتوحيد, which go back to and point to the belief system of Iman and Tawheed. والإخلاص لله, and sincerity for the sake of Allah. والإنابة إليه, and repenting to Him. وتنقي الظاهر من الأجناس والأوساخ وأسبابها, and it likewise purifies and cleanses one's outer condition from filth, dirt, and the things that lead to it. وتطهره الطهارة الحسية والطهارة المعنوية, and it helps to purify and clean the person with طهارة حسية, يعني literal purity, والطهارة المعنوية, and figurative purity. Literal purity, is those things that we discuss, purifying one's body, having good hygiene and the likes of that. That's the literal purity that Islam calls to, due to the benefit that lies in it for the person. And then you have that figurative purity, which is purification of your aqidah, purification of your deen, from the filth and the dirt of shirk and bid'ah and the likes of this, and kufr. لهذا قال صلى الله عليه وسلم, to this the Prophet said, الطهور شطر الإيمان, the purity is half of faith. وقال تعالى إن الله يحب التوابين ويحب المتطهرين, and he said, indeed Allah loves those who are constantly repenting to Him. He loves those who purify themselves. فالشريعة كلها طهارة وزكاة وتنمية وتكميل. So the entirety of the legislation, it is purity, it is cleansing, it is growth, it is completion. وحث على معالي الأمور, an encouragement towards lofty affairs. ونهي عن سفاسفها, and likewise a prohibition of those lowly and despicable affairs, and Allah knows best. Shaykh Ubaidi says, I want to draw attention to two things. Firstly, is عادة متبعة عند كثير من الناس, is a habit that you find many of the people following. وتلك عادة سيئة لمخالفتها سنة رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. And these affairs, they are repugnant and ugly due to the fact that they oppose and contradict the sunnah of the Messenger of Allah alayhi as-salam. في هذا الحديث وفي غيره, in this narration and in others, and that is allowing the nails to grow long, allowing the nails to grow long. هذا مع الأسف, this is something which unfortunately you find taking place amongst many other women, causing their nails to grow long to the point that they begin to look like those the nails of an animal, claws basically. It looks like claws of an animal. He says the second affair is al-had alladhi yanbaghi an yura'i wa la yutajawaz liqas al-sharib wa taqlim al-afar wa natf al-abad wa halq al-ana, is the time frame that we should not go beyond in relation to these things: clipping the nails, removal of the armpit hair, shaving the private area. And it is that which is authentically reported from Anas that the Messenger of Allah alayhi salam waqata lahum arba'ina, that he demarcated for them 40 days. So what is apparent is that this is something which varies in proportion to the variant conditions and states of the people. And this goes back to what I know we mentioned, that we said earlier, that you should do it once the hair begins to grow. Don't wait for the 40 days. When you notice the hair growing, You notice it's been, some days or what have you since you've done it, then you go ahead and remove that unwanted bodily hair. Especially if the case where a person is married and you have a spouse. These are things that you want to stay up on. Even when you're not married, but especially when you're married and you have a spouse, you want to stay up on these things, inshallah ta'ala. Last thing I want to mention is the affair of the mustache. In relation to the mustache, something which you find many of the people doing is shaving it. It's shaving the mustache. The mustache should not be shaved. It should not be shaved. Now, Imam Malik, he mentioned that the one who shaves the mustache should be whipped. The one who shaves it off completely should be whipped. Now, but in relation to the mustache, as we said previously, you're going to remove the hair that extends just beyond the lip, right? The hair that goes around the top lip. You want to remove that hair so the hair doesn't grow, the mustache doesn't grow over the lip. As for the thickness of it, then you can either let it grow thick, but keep that part shaved. As Umar bin Khattab, radiallahu anhu, it was said that whenever he would get angry, that he had a thick mustache, and whenever he would get angry, he would twist it, and he would huff and puff. He would blow whenever he was angry. That's how you knew Umar was mad. So Umar had a thick mustache, but this part should be trimmed. Or you can lighten the thickness of it, right? You can knock it down some in terms of its thickness, but without shaving it. You can make it light without shaving it, but this is the part that has to be done, and that's the trimming of what is beyond the lip. Now, so we stop here, inshallah ta'ala. Allah knows best. هذا وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.